Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the Millennial Mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, live on FinTech TV Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now streaming 24/7 on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV. Of course, you can always find us on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams. We have such a great show lined up for you today. Very, very exciting stuff. In our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel, today we're taking you on a wild ride all the way to Africa, featuring the Queen of Bamenda herself, Naomi Achu. Naomi is a rapper and a songwriter, a two-time Africa Music Award winner, and that's a rather large annual event. She has 1.3 million followers. She's going to come on today to chat career, life, love, and afrobeats. In our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment, today we're joined by Bill McCuddy, writer, producer, TV personality, and podcast host. You know you've heard of him. He spent 15 years with Fox News as the senior entertainment anchor before leaving to review films and do voiceovers. Today, he's here to chat Sunday's 2023 Oscar predictions, Hollywood's biggest night of the year. And in our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring super mama cardboard artist Sherri Madison. Sherri has been featured on HBO Max's Craftopia as a finalist in the world of wearable art. Her son, Max Alexander, is a 7-year-old celebrity fashion designer whose designs include commissioned pieces for celebrities, including Sharon Stone. Today, his mom, Sherri, is here to chat wearable art, career, family, and little Max's big plans. In our Hello Open Metaverse segment brought to you by Animoca Brands, this week we're featuring Mohammed Azzeldine. Mo heads the tokenomics team at Animoca Brands, and he's a regular contributor on our show. Animoca Brands, of course, is a leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and gamification, and they're working to advance digital property rights and contribute to the establishment of the open metaverse. He's joined by influencer, metaverse, and Web3 pioneer Roberto Nixon. Roberto is founder of Metaverse and co-founder of the MV3 universe. Today, we're chatting all about making money in the metaverse and what businesses should be focusing on. Stay tuned for the amazing Naomi Achu in our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, Nave.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes, we have our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel. And today we're taking you on one wild ride all the way to Africa, featuring the Queen of Bamenda herself, Naomi Achu. Naomi is a rapper and a songwriter, a two-time Afrima Award winner. For those of you that are unfamiliar, that's Africa Music Awards, which is a rather very large annual event. Naomi has 1.3 million followers. She originates from a town called Bamenda in Cameroon, Africa, hence her popular moniker, Queen of Bamenda. Her latest album, African Pepper, is a songwriter's journey around the world. Her latest single, Fight for You, features Sharon Stone, an Afrobeat pioneer and freedom fighter. Now, Naomi grew up in the UK and eventually moved to the US. She mixes infectious dance beats with compelling narratives, multiple languages, and absolutely beautiful visuals. And she creates an aesthetic that is all at once transnational and still all very much her own. Now, as she gets settled into the broadcast room, let's chat Afrobeats, the music genre on the rise, popular and important because its globally palatable sound and aesthetic represents the spirit of modern Africa. Its popularity is due to the fact that it's a new universal world sound that blends all the past sounds like dancehall and hip hop, fusing them with infectious African rhythms embedded with hints of Afropop, Afro jazz, reggae, and electronica to create a familiar yet distinguishable modern African sound. Afrobeats music artists like Burna Boy and Wizkid show the world that Africans in general have been influenced by the same pop culture trends in music and film as everyone else during the last 20 years. Here to chat career, life, love, and Afrobeats is the amazing Naomi Achu. Welcome to the show, Stunner.
Hi. What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? This is the second time on our show. I'm so humbled that you've come to join us again. You are the African queen herself. Congratulations on all of your success and especially your latest hit single, Fight for You. I mean, you've come such a long way, my darling. Now, Afrobeats has been on the rise for several years now. Naomi, tell me, why do you feel that people gravitate to the music as much as they do, making it one of the most popular music genres today?
It's just beautiful. Africans, where it originates from, we sing from our hearts. 20 years ago, there was no streaming platform such as like Spotify and all these streaming platforms. So we didn't really have a way to get heard. But now, because of this digital space, when we put out our music, it's received because we sing from our hearts. It's authentic. A lot of people sing about their stories. Imagine children growing up with little, not that much, little means, but they're always so happy. So they're singing from their heart. And I think it's the melodies, it's the beats, it's everything. That's why they call it the motherland.
That's why they call it the motherland. True words. It's very true. And
Mhm.
I truly believe that Afrobeats has become popular by fusing really classical African rhythm with the sounds of global urban music from Jamaican dancehall to hip hop, which in effect has resulted in an intoxicating popular blend of Afrobeats music that is uniquely African but also has global sonic appeal, which is very different. Now you have this new hit single, Fight for You, featuring Sean Cuddy, an Afrobeat pioneer and freedom fighter. What was it like working with him and what inspired the song?
Okay, so Sharon Kuti is he's a very talented person. He came in the studio, grabbed his sax, did his thing, just vibe. It was a great vibe. He's very emotional. As in, how can I say it? You feel his spirit when you work with him. You can't work with Sharon and not and never forget. It's just experience that I'm so grateful to have experienced. He's amazing. The song is amazing. I had the concept actually. I was like, I think we should write something about family and about kids. And he was like, okay, let's do it. And then it was so funny because he kind of let me lead. He was like, what am I doing? I was like, really? You're asking me what you're doing? Yes. He's like, yeah. What am I doing? I was like, well, grab your stuff. He just grabbed it. So the fact that he let me take the lead was very interesting, but I was also very humbled by that.
Yeah, of course. Well, when you work with somebody that's great and pretty much iconic like him, I mean, he's amassed popularity for truly his talent. I mean, he's incredible. Now, Afrobeats really, if you think of it as a whole, it's popular because it represents Africa taking its rightful place on the world stage, right? Like that's the bottom line. And the effects of the cultural diffusion that occurred over the past 20 years through TV channels like MTV and then the internet have reached full circle now. So we see the trend really kind of gaining popularity here. So where can we see you perform next and what are you currently working on?
Okay, so I'm currently in the studio working on a next album, working on an EP. I'm doing a lot of traveling. I'm working with different producers. I'm in different recording studios. So I don't have a date yet for when the project will be released, but expected this year, maybe mid or later on this year. And I'm also supposed to be performing on at a cruise sometime in July. Look out for the information. I'm going to be up and about. I'm supposed to be in Florida this March, this coming March. I'm accepting an award for charitable for my charitable work that I did in Africa recently. So lots of stuff.
Wow, your plate is full. Your plate is really full. Now, the genre when you talk about the type of music that you sing, perform, and really kind of embody is experiencing a golden age that's attributed to streaming platforms and social media apps like TikTok. You mentioned this at the beginning. You mentioned how effectively artists like yourself can now use social media to your advantage. Now, these days, we have African artists like Wizkid and CK. They boast about billions of streams on Spotify, on Boomplay, and on YouTube. You have approximately 1.3 million followers and growing. How has social media changed and shaped your music career?
I think it was very helpful. And I will say this during the pandemic, when people didn't really have concerts to go to, a lot of artists, including myself, we had our digital platforms. We had YouTube, we had TikTok, we had Instagram where we could share our talent. We also had Clubhouse. So, you were able to make new fans for yourself, create a new fan base online because everybody's just online. They're not going out, so you have their attention at that time. So I used that pandemic period to grow my fan base even more, even though of course I've had like two albums before that. But since we're talking about 2023, I think the pandemic combined with the digital space was helpful towards growing my fans even more.
Exactly. And truly, you're right. The pandemic shaped a lot in your genre and in the music industry. And really, what we saw is after a steady rise for the genre Afrobeats over the last few years, artists like Wizkid and Burna Boy and Thames are all over the Western music charts, winning big at the Grammys and at the BET Awards and headlining the biggest festivals. I mean, we see that this is a big trend. Now, for the growing African diaspora, there's been fueling rise and really pushing the industry to the next level. The music goes a lot deeper than its commercial success. To what you mentioned earlier, Afrobeats is from the soul. It's paving a way back home for members of the diaspora. Its dominance is built on self acceptance and cultural pride, and that resonates with people. I know for a fact that when you listen to the music, you get chills. You're drawn because you're listening to a story. It's almost like when you think of country music, right? You think of country music and there's these stories within all the songs. Now, of course, it happens in modern pop culture as well. Billie Eilish is singing about, whatever she's singing. But at the end of the day, this is soulful and happy, right? There's no depression in Afro beats.
Well, so there is depression, but you wouldn't know because the languages that are being used are so melodic.
Yeah.
That's another thing is the languages that are used. For example, for me, I'm from Cameroon. The dominant language for music is Douala. That's one of them. In Nigeria, for example, they like to use Yoruba. It's melodic. You mentioned Wizkid. Wizkid uses he sings a lot in Yoruba. So does Burna Boy. It's just it has a melodic sound. So when you hear it, they could be talking about, well, I came from the streets of Lagos, blah blah. But you're just dancing because it sounds really good to the ears.
True, very true. And you're not necessarily paying attention to the words, but you're lost in the rhythm. And that's the beauty of it. Now, interesting, we have a couple of minutes left before I have to cut to a commercial break, but fashion style. Let's chat your outfits, your wardrobe, the inspiration behind it all. Even right now, for those listening, not watching just yet, you got to see her. She's fantastic. Uh, you guys could see us on Sunday, by the way. Now, Naomi is stunning and her style is fab. You have to check her out on her Instagram page at I am Naomi Achu. But Naomi, talk to me. What is your inspiration and who styles you?
So I style myself
Yay.
because I think it's fun. Because yeah, I style myself. I have, I have had the opportunity to have people style me, but I never really feel like myself. I shop everywhere. I shop from Louis Vuitton to the thrift store. And I'll tell you one thing about the thrift store: you're hardly going to find somebody wearing what you have,
True.
because it's probably from a designer from maybe 3 years back and one summer winter collection. So, and that's one thing about me, is I like to look different. So if I shop at the thrift store, I'm going to find something that I can probably match with my Prada purse or my Prada boots or my Gucci bag, and it makes a very unique combination of, just a unique look.
A unique look. All right. Well, listen, this is amazing. I don't move a muscle because I want to come right back and I want to ask you a riveting question.
Yes.
And the question is really pertaining to your industry. So it's a jaw dropper depending on how you
Bring
react.
it
Okay.
on.
Depending on
Bring
how
it
you react.
on.
That was the super talented singer-songwriter, Queen of Bamenda herself, Naomi Achu. Now, from the infectious rhythms to the beautiful Black women in the music videos, there are many reasons to fall in love with afrobeats, which is why it has become so very popular. Definitely check her out on the gram at I am Naomi Achu, or head to her website, naomiachu.com. That was our influencer segment, brought to you by Navé Travel. Head directly to navi.travel for the absolute cheapest, amazing travel deals that I have ever come across. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, Nave.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next, we have Naomi Achu. We're continuing the conversation. Famous singer-songwriter, Queen of Bamenda herself, talking about the rise of Afrobeats. Welcome back.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so I was reading, and according to conversation.com, which is a rather huge publication, they had a headliner, and the headliner was "From Nigeria to the World, Afrobeats is having a global moment." They chat about the diaspora, which I touched on earlier. And basically, for those of us listening, when I say diaspora, it's a population that is scattered across regions, which separates from its geographical place of origin. So Africa is very large. You have places like Cameroon, you have places like Nigeria, right? So in this case, pop musicians from other parts of the African continent have been making music under the Afrobeats banner. But it's the Nigerians, Wizkid, Davido, and Burna Boy, who have each sold out the O2 Arena in London or the Accor Arena in Paris. And undoubtedly, they're saying Nigerian artists are the trailblazers of the Afrobeats movement. What do you say to this? And are we giving this to the Nigerians?
We give it to the Nigerians because of their population.
Okay.
So I'll put it to you this way. For example, Cameroon, our population is what now? What, 18 million? I can't off the top of my head. But the population of Cameroon is Lagos alone. Lagos is the capital of Nigeria. So we're looking at the whole of Cameroon, my country, just being just one city in Nigeria. So anything that Nigeria does, it blows up because of the numbers. So a Nigerian artist comes out, they have millions more supporters than, let's say, an artist from Cameroon or Liberia, or same with Tanzania. Tanzania has a great population as well. So does South Africa. So I'm a piano, which is also another great sound, another rising sound, along with Afrobeats. Is also doing very well because of the populations of those countries. I will say, for example, Cameroon, our music is good, just as good, but we may not necessarily have those numbers, as far as the population that can carry that sound the way Wizkid or Burna Boy, like the names you've called, or Thames have. But it doesn't mean that the music is, I won't say the music is better, or I won't even compare it. I won't compare the sounds, but I will say that all these Nigerian artists are very great. They're strong artists. They have great sounds. But if, let's say, for example, Wizkid were to sing in French, which is, let's say, a language from Congo or a language from Cameroon, it would go further
Yeah.
because of the support. And Nigerians are very supportive of their own. So when they hear their brother or sister on the radio, they gravitate. It's not always a situation in every other country. So I'll give it to them because of that. But I'm not going to say that they're better than Naomi.
No, 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 no. It's more about if they are truly
I know.
the trailblazers of the Afrobeats movement, and it really does sound like they are,
Yeah,
based
yeah,
on their popularity and the geographical numbers and of the predisposition in the continent, right? Of course. Well, listen, it's been very enlightening chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure. I always love having you on. We're gonna run your music right after the commercial, so everybody can get a sound of you, and definitely direct everyone to your wonderful website. And definitely, you guys have to follow her because her style is off the charts.
Thank you.
Definitely check her out on the gram at I am Naomi Achu, or head to her website, naomiachu.com. That was our influencer segment, brought to you by Navé Travel. Head directly to navi.travel for the absolute cheapest, amazing travel deals that I have ever come across. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
And if I make a mistake, will they still see me the same? Or look the other way? Sometimes the government is heavy on the nation. Will we survive with all the many limitations? And if we fight, we may not stay alive, but I just wanna make it through the night. I will be there to fight for you. 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 I will be there to fight.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to animocabrands.com. That's animocabrands.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming up in Hello Open Metaverse, brought to you by Animoca Brands. This week, we're featuring Mohammed Izzeldin. Mo heads up the tokenomics team at Animoca Brands, a leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and gamification that is working to advance digital property rights and contribute to the establishment of the open metaverse. Today, he's joined by influencer, metaverse, and Web3 pioneer Roberto Nixon. Now, Roberto is the founder of Metaverse, with the second E being a number 3, and co-founder of the MV3 Universe. Today, we're chatting all about making money in the metaverse and what businesses should be focusing on. Now, Statista's Advertising and Media Markets Insight estimates that worldwide metaverse revenue will stand at $490 billion in the year 2030. In my opinion, this is actually a conservative forecast. Now, for the Statista Outlook, the term metaverse is defined as a virtual world or a collection of virtual worlds that exist in a common digital space and that users can access over the internet. Metaverses include applications of virtual reality, augmented reality, and other immersive technologies. The biggest revenue drivers for metaverses are e-commerce and gaming. Now, metaverse e-commerce sales alone could grow to more than $200 billion by the year 2030 from currently just around 20 billion. That's a huge leap. And gaming is expected to grow even more from just around 10 billion as of now to around, are you ready, 163 billion by the year 2030. Now, even financial services firm BlackRock was recently quoted saying it thinks that there are very serious opportunities for investors to get into the metaverse and start making money. Here to chat Web3, metaverse, and investments are my experts at hand, Mohammed Ezeldine and Roberto Nixon. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Great to be here again. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Roberto, thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So let's dive right in. So I'm going to start with you. So BlackRock's technology equity team recently published a note saying that at this juncture, it is much like the internet of the early 1990s or the smartphone of the early 2000s. We expect it is going to be big and very likely change people's daily lives, but we don't yet know exactly how or how big the shift will be. They are talking about the metaverse. What do you say to this, and should investors be interested?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Look, when I think of metaverse, I just look at the behavior of the under 15, under 16 crowd, and they're spending their entire lives on Roblox, on Minecraft, on Fortnite, et cetera. And while these aren't like quote unquote metaverse experiences that live on a decentralized blockchain, it's very much indicative of what the behavior of the future is going to be like. When I also think of metaverse, I just understand that the reach and scale of digital cannot be replicated in physical. And so these two things combined with the further development of blockchain and Web3 technologies, I just think it's obvious. I just do believe that it's going to take 5 to 7 years to get there, just because of the throughput of some of these blockchains aren't quite there. But I definitely think, when I look at Chipotle, who just they went into Roblox and they did an activation on free burritos and 30 million people showed up. That's never going to happen in the physical realm. So the metaverse is very, very much a lucrative endeavor to kind of look at for a lot of businesses, brands, and individuals. It just may take 2 or 3 years for it to manifest in the way that we all kind of think that it will.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you said it. And the biggest investment opportunity per BlackRock, and they kind of have a gauge in the industry, is going to be in companies that can provide consumers and other companies with quality hardware for accessing the metaverse, namely AR glasses. I mean, producing AR glasses that are wearable, fashionable, and metaverse functional will require a new generation of chips, batteries, and lenses, of course. And the companies that will build out the actual metaverse also figure to be good investment opportunities per BlackRock. So we're definitely seeing that shift. Mo, let's chat how 5G is going to benefit from the metaverse. So for some reference, for those of you listening and watching, 5G is the 5th generation technology standard for broadband cellular networks, which cellular phone companies began deploying worldwide back in 2019. And it is the planned successor to the 4G networks, which provide connectivity to most current cell phones. Now, that being said, more than $100 billion has been spent on 5G airwaves and network upgrades by mobile carriers alone. And despite 5G being a hot topic of conversation, there have actually been very few use cases of 5G making money so far. Now, the metaverse will change this. Rather than the metaverse benefiting from the capabilities of 5G, as many predict, 5G will benefit from the metaverse. What do you say to this, and what are your thoughts?
I think it's a very strong case. I mean, as of now, in most countries, 3G is still the highest level of access you can have to the internet, and it works. So do we need 5G as of today? Most people don't. But what's super interesting, and I guess the examples always help, we look at the release of Pokemon Go a number of years back, and I think it was 18 million daily active users at launch. And over time, that receded to about 30 million users within the first few months. But what they did to reactivate their community was actually having physical and we're having physical activations in real life, where if you're playing Pokemon Go, come to this physical activation and you're rewarded with different assets in game. So from the metaverse perspective, and I'll come back to the 5G comment in a moment, from the metaverse perspective, yes, it's online, but I do feel with the rise in AR technology as well, it's going to be a mix between IRL, so in real life, and online. And that's the power of what AR will give us. Linking that into 5G, especially when we have large amounts of people in a single area, mobile connection tends to be pretty poor. How many times have you been at a football game or a hockey game and you're in a stadium with tens of thousands of other fans, and all of a sudden I don't have connection? I have full bars, but I'm unable to send my WhatsApp. My video isn't uploading to Instagram. I'm not going to get the likes that I need. So we're starting to see some issues around that, and definitely 5G will begin to solve that.
I love it. I'm not going to get the likes that I need. That's the only thing that stood out in that whole last paragraph. Because can you imagine being at a stadium and wanting to capture that moment in time, and you have social media followers and you can't post? Oh my goodness. All right, Roberto, let's go back to you. So let's chat the metaverse for the sales process. So a few years back, you may not have imagined a world where most of your sales calls were taken remotely on platforms like Zoom. So the question is, how might the metaverse change our interactions with potential customers? Now, the metaverse will help, of course, reduce the amount of business travel needed, even more so than the use of Zoom has. I mean, instead of taking an airplane to meet with a prospect or getting on a video chat, we can log on to a virtual roundtable with VR goggles in the metaverse to provide a more interactive virtual experience. So the metaverse can definitely create a more and more realistic virtual setting for meetings for the sales process. Now, you touched on your predictions for how long this will take to come to mass adoption. So I'm curious to always know is, in your opinion, should companies be focusing on the metaverse sales process right now? And what needs to transpire between then and now for metaverse mass adoption?
It's a great question. And I think that companies definitely need to be paying attention, because what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years is there's going to be exponential growth in the sector, meaning that Reality Pro, Apple's Reality Pro headset, is just around the corner. It's going to be launched this year in June at WWDC. And the form factor, although we haven't seen it, is being rumored to be a lot more ergonomic, because the battery pack actually lives in your pocket. And so the device is a lot easier to put on and off, which has been like one of the pain points in some of the devices that we've had until now. And what's just been released today, this morning actually, is Facebook, Meta, announced their roadmap on some of the hardware. By 2027, they're going to have AR glasses, very, very simple, elegant form factor that you could just put on and off. And then Apple has rumored to have patents for 2035, mid 2030s, that they're going to be in a contact lens, as small as a contact lens.
Wow.
So yeah, these technologies, the form factor is going to be really, really reduced. All that friction is going to be gone. They're going to be perfectly ergonomic, and having meetings, so-called face-to-face meetings inside of the metaverse, just adds a lot more context. So instead of having voice, you're actually having mannerisms and body language. And, one of the cool things, I tried Zuck's sort of metaverse out. When I turn left to the person, that I'm interfacing with, I can actually, I'm turning left and I'm seeing them, they're turning to look at me. It's a lot more intimate, and it just adds a lot more context to these meetings, which helps to close sales, which helps to, drive business. And so I just think that's why my timeline is 2 or 3 years, but I do think that companies need to be paying attention right now, because it's coming.
Wow. Fascinating stuff what's happening here. Okay, 3 minutes left right here. Mo, let's shift here to a couple of stats in the media. So Goldman Sachs estimates the metaverse's economy could hit 8 trillion in 20 years from now, and fashion brands have been very busy experimenting, eager to hunt down the younger consumers that we've been talking about. I mean, even luxury houses have been trying to find a foothold in this curious new world. So in fear of missing out, FOMO, as in the years of e-commerce, brands are now, hoping that consumers are going to want to engage. And once consumers own the virtual product, they'll be more likely to buy the real version when they have more cash. Now, this is a gateway to building that relationship with the consumer that we've been talking about. We have Balenciaga, Prada, and Thon Brown are among other designers offering, of course, outfits for metaverse avatars for just under $10 a pop. So essentially tokenomics at its best, really. Is this a viable process, and will it actually convert to monetization over the Gen Alpha and Gen Z demographics? I mean, I assume that is their target audience. What are your thoughts, Mo?
100%, absolutely. And I think it's a great point. Something we don't speak enough about are royalties. And what blockchain and decentralization allow us to do is to track royalties, to make sure that Balenciaga, if the example of a $10 NFT, if they're able to sell 100,000 of these NFTs, they've just generated $1 million worth of revenue. And then for any secondary sales that happen after that, they're still generating income from that perspective. And then if we flip it around from a consumer standpoint, especially with the rise in all of these metaverses that are leveraging blockchain technology, we need content creators to be building this content. And we talk about, especially in the US, the number of young children growing up saying, I want to be an influencer when I'm older. Or they need a community to be influencing. And they also need content to be able to leverage that, to have the influence. So with that in mind, it's not just a top-down change. We want to see a bottom-up change as well. We have content creators coming in. We spoke about the metaverse being online and also being in real life. Well, what if I'm able to wear that dress or those pair of shoes on my avatar and have that interoperable? So being able to take it from one digital world into another digital world. I think there are so many new business cases. We're only starting to scratch the surface on the different types of revenue models that can be generated from this. So when we say, was it 8 trillion? I think we're just scratching the surface, because once this takes off, I don't think you can't get the cat back in the bag.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, you're 100% right in scratching the surface, and more importantly, I say, the only fear you should have of the metaverse is not becoming part of it, because you're going to be missing out. I mean, it's all Web 1 and Web 2. We're done with that. Well, listen, guys, it was very enlightening chatting with you. I want to thank you for spending the time with me here on our #1 education segment for trending and edutainment right here on Metaverse Talk. Mo, always a pleasure. Roberto, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you all very much. And Mo, you need your own radio show, because that voice is soothing.
So soothing.
Coming to a station near you.
Oh, there you go. Okay, don't move a muscle. Guys, listen, the viability of the metaverse. Wow, really, really. Too often we tend to be overly aggressive in our short-term view of how things will change and under-aggressive in our long-term view. Now, over the next 1 to 3 years, we will likely see a slower adoption of the metaverse, like Roberto said. But in the long term, we will see wider, more rapid adoption driven by a desire for more real-time virtualized experiences, like Mohammed said. Obviously, getting to a world where the metaverse is more ubiquitous will require continued investment in infrastructure. That was our Hello Open Metaverse segment, brought to you by Animoca Brands. Do check them out. That was Mohammed Ezeldine, head of tokenomics, and that was Roberto Nixon, influencer, metaverse, and Web3 pioneer. Definitely head to his Instagram. You could check him out at his handle, RP Nixon. He's the founder of Metaverse. And when you Google Metaverse, it's Metaverse with the second E being a number 3. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to animocabrands.com. That's animocabrands.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our Hello Open Metaverse. We're talking with influencer, Web3 pioneer, Roberto Nixon, and head of tokenomics at Animoca Brands, Mohammed Ezeldine. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Nice to see you again,
Great
Zen.
to be back.
Okay, so this is our extended segment. Now, both of you will answer this question. I'm going to start with you first, Roberto. So, metaverse gaming and NFTs, non fungible tokens, could constitute 10% of the luxury goods market by the year 2030. And this is according to a 2021 report by JP Morgan. This would represent a $50 billion revenue opportunity and a 25% increase in the market's overall profits. And while many image conscious companies remain cautious about the opportunities of Web3, some are literally taking the very big plunge. But it's not all upside for luxury brands. Many have legitimate concerns about intellectual property, compliance issues, and brand safety. Now, some of these dangers have already been illustrated by NFTs. Last summer, Tiffany and Company gave owners of a CryptoPunk NFT access to a sale of custom necklaces. Now, these NFTs were sold for 30 Ether each. That's about $50,000 at the time. And owners also received a physical pendant encrusted with diamonds and made in the image of the corresponding pixelated CryptoPunk characters. Now, the collection sold out in under half an hour and was estimated to have made the jeweler more than $12 million. Today, the lowest resale price of an NFT is now around 9 Ether. That's around 13K, meaning value didn't hold. And likely the value of the physical diamond studded pendant has actually held up considerably better. What do you say to this, especially from an investor standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things there to unpack. One with blockchain is that it's a very sound technology. Like, the technology is sound. I think it's world changing, and it's profound. And these companies are going to be able to verify their products now on chain, which I think is really, really important. What happened with Tiffany's, in essence, is this: like, there are a lot of people who are turned off by the space because of the speculative nature of it, and there has been somewhat of a casino that has been built on top of blockchain that's been a part of Web3. And so, understandably, a lot of the mainstream had been turned off by that because it is highly, highly speculative, right? So while the technology is sound and it works, the speculative nature on top of it, which is, by the way, just psychology, it's collector's mindset, it's provenance. It's like cultural relevancy, like all of these things come into play, and sometimes there's momentum there, sometimes there isn't. So in that particular instance, I understood what Tiffany was doing, and I just think the speculative nature kind of deflated sort of the attention around it, if you will.
Yeah, listen, I always say luxury people should understand NFTs and digital ownership better than anyone. I mean, after all, nobody buys a luxury watch to tell the time, right?
Right.
So you buy it because you appreciate the aesthetics, the craft, you think it might have some resale value, and it gives you status. It makes you part of a small group of people that appreciate the same things. Totally get that. And that's actually where I'm headed with this. Now, Mohammed, I want your opinion on this, because from an investment perspective, people are saying, well, hold up over here. You have Tiffany launching the NFTs. They were sold for 30 Ether, and at the time they were equivalent of $50,000. And now owners are saying, wait a minute, they didn't hold their value. What do you say to this?
I think it's super interesting because what owners paid for wasn't one product, but two products. It was the NFT, but also it was the physical, was it the necklace? It was a bracelet.
Yes,
sorry.
it was the
It
physical
was a
diamond
necklace.
studded pendant, right?
Absolutely. So within that, the diamonds themselves, they have held value, but there's been a decoupling between the NFT and the physical merch as well. And a big part of that is we're not seeing use cases where I can actually wear my pendant in the metaverse. And that's, for me, that's one of the big reasons for it, in addition to everything that Roberto has spoken about earlier. I believe as these metaverses get built out, and we often forget that we're still quite early with where the technology is at, and we said a 5 to 7 year time frame. I'm in agreement. I do think that's when the word metaverse it will be a lot more prominent, especially with the younger generations. The technology will be there, and we'll be able to leverage NFTs, any new variations of whatever we want to add to the end there. And then we'll see the true value, because now I can wear that on my avatar, and there's only one of 50 of these, and naturally value will come back. And the other side of it, we're saying it's 9 ETH, or was this 9 ETH is 13K. That's because the value of ETH has gone down considerably. It's about a third of the price of what it was at the time of when the sale was made. So we have a double nature. Yeah, there's two reasons why the value has gone down. The market in general has receded and lost value. And the other side of it, we haven't seen many utilities or use cases for me to leverage this NFT in a metaverse style.
So with mass adoption, we're going to start to see an increase in value. Of course, the way it works in every industry, it's all about supply and demand. And when the demand starts to increase and these supplies become much more limited, they become much more valuable. And of course, we're going to start to see that trickle in, to Roberto's point, not maybe tomorrow or the next day or even at the end of this year, but in a few years from now. And then really, if you look at 5 to 7 years from now, headed into 2030, that's when I really think we're going to start to see the biggest boom of all. So to both your points, you should be getting in now, being ahead of the curve, buying property in the metaverse now that it's affordable, because if you wait much longer, you're going to get to the game a little bit too late, right?
Yeah, I mean, something to say there. I mean, both you guys made incredible points. Then you made the point that people are buying status. I mean, Bernard Arnault's the second richest person in the world. He sells status. He's not selling handbags. He's not selling watches. He's selling status. And so very much so, as our lives become more digital, so will our status symbols. And the most profitable media entertainment ventures today are free-to-play games, Call of Duty, Fortnite, etc., that just sell cosmetic skins for people to be able to communicate who they are within these games, to communicate their status within these communities. So that is going to come to the metaverse right now. To Mohammed's point, like the great point that he made is that there isn't really a metaverse right now that's hit that critical mass. Some of these early ones that are such, they're obvious glimpses into the future, like Decentraland and Sandbox, unfortunately, as of now, they're a bit of ghost towns. Yeah. So I don't know that I could recommend like buying land in these necessarily, because who knows what metaverses are going to become the quote unquote winning ones. It's so early to tell that it's very highly speculative. But to your grand sort of your macro point, yes, eventually there will be these winning metaverses where this land is going to be so valuable because like physical land, they're central, they're well located. There's a lot of eyeballs on them. People can think of them as digital ad space in essence, like immersive digital ad space. Like instead of buying something on the front page of CNN, you could buy a metaverse activation, a piece of land where millions of eyeballs are going to be traversing and having their eyes on. I think that's really valuable.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Look at iHeart just launched iHeart Land in the metaverse in the sandbox, and State Farm has the biggest banner that you could find right up there, right? So again, yeah, we're starting to see this. Maybe they're really, really ahead of the game because it's not everybody doing this. But yes, to your point, that's where we're headed. Digital ad space is the thing, especially when you look at the generation that's dwelling in the metaverse, which is the Gen Alpha and Gen Z, and from the Academy Awards to fintech to blockchain apps to organizations, everybody wants Gen Z and Gen Alpha at the core of their community. Why? Because they live on their devices, and that connectivity, that constant obsessive connectivity that I think is slightly unhealthy, is what that capture by big brands is, the big fish. So yeah, it's all part and parcel. Well, that said, we are out of time, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Mohammed, always a pleasure. Roberto, thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much, Zen.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Guys, that was our Hello Open Metaverse segment brought to you by Animoca Brands. That was Mohammed Azaldin, head of tokenomics at Animoca. And that was Roberto Nixon, influencer, Metaverse, and Web3 pioneer, founder of Metaverse with the number 3 in the second position of the E, and founder of the MV3 universe. You can check him out on the gram at RPN Nixon, RP Nixon. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. Today we're joined by Bill McCuddy, writer, producer, TV personality, and podcast host. Bill spent 15 years with Fox News as the senior entertainment anchor before leaving to review films and do voiceovers. You've probably heard him on hundreds of commercials for Excedrin, Plavix, and Amco. That's just to name a few. He's heard weekly on Sitting Around Talking Movies with Neil Rosen and Bill Bergoli, and hosts the podcast The Accutron Show, which interviews famous people and asks them who from the 1960s inspired you. Today, can you guess what Bill will be talking about? Tomorrow being the day of all days, the night of all nights in the entertainment industry. You guessed it. We're chatting all about the 2023 Oscars, the 95th Annual Academy Awards. Bill is coming on to predict Oscar evening. Now, of course, we do have some insights coming off of two very important Oscar indicators that went down in Hollywood recently, the Screen Actors Guild Award and the Producers Guild Award. We know that Everything Everywhere All at Once, the trippy and moving art house film that was a big theatrical hit last summer, won top prizes at both, basically guaranteeing that it's going to take home the Academy Award for Best Picture. But what about all the rest? Well, here to chat Oscar predictions is the amazing Bill McCuddy. Welcome to the show, superstar.
I can't live up to that introduction, but thank you very much, Sen.
Okay, let's dive right into Best Picture. So the nominations are Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Tar, All Quiet on the Western Front, Elvis, Triangle of Sadness, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking, and Avatar, The Way of Water. Do you think that momentum for what once was Everything Everywhere's closest rivals, which I say was The Fabelmans and The Banshees of Inisherin, and to a lesser extent, of course, Top Gun Maverick, do you think that the momentum is dead? Meaning, is there no conceivable path to victory for any of those movies? I mean, it seems like Everything Everywhere has been and will continue to be unstoppable. What are your predictions?
I'm as surprised as you are that a movie with hot dog hands is possibly going to take home the Oscar this year. I wish the other film about hands, which is Banshees of Inisherin, where one actually gets cut off and is a much, much, much better movie, was in the run. I write for something called GoldDerby.com, and they think if anything can upset Everything Everywhere, it will be the Banshees of Inisherin. But as you said, it's won so many things going forward. And the nice thing about it, if you can say anything good about it, besides Michelle Yeoh, who I love and is great in it, and the rest of the cast, Jamie Lee Curtis, and we'll get to that in a second. The one nice thing this year is that America will actually probably tune in for the Oscars for the first time in a long time, because 4 of the top nominees are blockbusters. Elvis it has made almost $300 million. And of course, Avatar has made $2 billion, $2 billion. And Top Gun, which is the movie I wish would win Best Picture because it got us all back into the theaters, has made $1.5 billion. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, not my favorite, but it does probably have the edge going into the big show. And I guess that's okay. It's odd. Some people think it's cool. By the way, I can't find any 2 Oscar voters, and I talk to them every year, that have watched the whole thing.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's, look, momentum for what once was Everything's Everywhere's closest rivals, like you said, The Fabelmans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Top Gun Maverick. I think it's dead, meaning I don't think there's any conceivable path to victory for any of those movies, not because they're not good or great, because they were. But I mean, everything seems like Everything Everywhere has been and will continue to be unstoppable. And I think it's just the generational shift, perhaps, or who knows, guess who's watching the Oscars in bundles this time? It's a different generation, like you mentioned. It's Gen Z, it's Gen Alpha. They're appealing to the younger demographic. So, at this point, it's up in the air. But let's move on to, aside from Best Picture, let's chat acting races. So right now, I say there's only one shoe in. Ke Huy Quan is going to take Best Supporting Actor for Everything Everywhere, having won the same category at the Golden Globes and SAG. So for me, that's an indicator. Now, Bill, the nominees are Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin. We have Barry Cogan for The Banshees of Inisherin again, Judd Hirsch for The Fablesman, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. What are your predictions?
So Brian from Causeway is just, we can throw that out. That was just no one's even seen that. I don't know how it got nominated. Jennifer Lawrence is in that. It's on Apple TV. It's a fine movie. He's good in it, but no one has seen it. If anyone can upset here, and usually we say when there are two nominees in the same movie, Banshees of Inisherin, the Brendan and Barry would cancel each other out. But everyone seems to like this performance by Barry Keoghan. And I think if anyone can take it away, that's the guy that's going to upset. But you're right. I mean, this has been kind of the lock of the year. He was short round, and he's so beloved that I think it goes to Everything Everywhere All at Once in the supporting category. That'll be an early prize that night, and that'll begin what I think is going to be a mini sweep for the film.
I love it. Yeah, you said it. Those are the right predictions, regardless if we feel the film should sweep at all. Now, let's chat Best Actress, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. These are tighter than a star's forehead after a Botox treatment. So let's start with Best Actress. Okay, we have Cate Blanchett in Tar. We have Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have Ana de Armas in Blonde. We have Michelle Williams for The Fablesmans. We have Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. We know Cate Blanchett's performance in Tar is career best work, right? And it has won every precursor imaginable thus far. But as the great,
well, not every precursor. Michelle Yeoh has won a couple, including the SAG the other night and the Critics' Choice Awards. Actually, I'm sorry, you're right. She won. Cate Blanchett won the Critics' Choice, and that's the group she got up in front of. I vote in the Critics' Choice Awards. Those were over a month ago, and she got up at that venue and said she doesn't need another Oscar. Basically, this is Cate Blanchett, and she said two things. Michelle Yeoh did a great job, but have you seen Andrea Riseborough? And that's the story we really need to talk about, because that little movie is even smaller than Causeway, but everyone has seen it because that came out of nowhere. That was basically a grassroots campaign by the wife of Mary McCormack, who played Howard Stern's wife in Private Parts. The actress Mary McCormack actually got on social media and got Andrea Riseborough in the conversation. So if there's a crazy upset that night, the only reason it could happen for Andrea Riseborough is that's the last movie all the voters saw. And she's really, really good in it. But otherwise, it is a two-woman race. It's Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere or Cate Blanchett. And I think the thinking is Blanchett has two, and she doesn't need another one. The Oscars doesn't necessarily like to rubber stamp everything that everyone else has done. True. Or Everything Everywhere, everything else everyone's done. So I think there's a chance here that something interesting could happen. Otherwise, it's Michelle Yeoh's, I think, for the taking. She's given heartfelt speeches. She's an Asian woman. She's of an age that this is probably one of the last times she'll win. She may be nominated again, but I think they want to give it to her. So I think I'm going to say Michelle Yeoh for Best Actress.
I agree, and I echo that sentiment. And if you go back and you look at the great Olivia Colman upset over Glenn Close of 2019, that official title proved Best Actress is a place where legends can unseat legends. And momentum for Michelle in Everything Everywhere All at Once has only grown in recent weeks, to your point. I mean, the film racked up an impressive 11 Oscar nods, even in unexpected categories like Best Original Song, something the cast and crew admittedly, they said never imagined before. And the film, they never imagined this before. The film became A24's highest grossing picture of all time in early 2022. So, there you go.
You should point out The Color Purple got 11 nominations and didn't win a single Oscar, but that's very rare. This is going to take home, as I said, probably a little mini sweep. But this is a category where I think one of the biggest snubs of the year happened, and that's that Danielle Detweiler from the incredible Till, which was my favorite movie of the year.
Loved.
Did not get nominated. Cannot believe that didn't happen. And you mentioned Olivia Colman, and she was in Empire of the Sun, which I thought she was okay to really good. I'm surprised that didn't get nominated as well, but I guess they figure she just won recently, and so she's okay.
Yeah, I hate the way they knock things out like that, just of what preceded that.
It's a political thing. It's don't
terrible.
don't always think the best. You think The Departed was the best thing that Martin Scorsese ever did. They don't necessarily give it to the best work for each artist. They think it's a lot about timing, and it's a lot about how they feel about you that year.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Best Actor. We have three and a half minutes in the segment left, and I also want to cover Best Supporting Actress predictions. So for Best Actor, we have Austin Butler in Elvis, Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser in The Whale. We have Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin. Bill Nighy, I hope I'm saying his name right, in Living.
Just Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, right? And Paul Mescal in After Sun. So each of these year's Best Actor nominees occupies a unique space in the awards race, Bill. For the first time in decades, each honoree is a first-timer in the traditionally competitive category. While it places each leading man on a somewhat level playing field, Brendan Fraser's turn as a 600-pound recluse in Darren Aronofsky's The Whale ticks, certain tried and true boxes, that the Academy tends to favor.
I think this is the lock of the night. I think you buy a farm and you bet it, because this is the sort of transformation that they love.
Yeah.
Raging Bull. I said on another show, Nicole Kidman won by a nose. They like it when actors put the prosthetics on. This is a 350-pound suit. He needed two people to walk him around. If he fell over, he was going to break things like the floor. He's been doing a great job, Brendan Fraser, and it's a comeback story. Where was he for the last 10 years? He's been explaining, and I think that's the lock of the night.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, 2 minutes here. We have lastly Best Supporting Actress prediction. So Angela Bassett becoming the first performer to receive a nomination for a Marvel movie makes sense with Hollywood's collective fantasy at this point in time. She's a beloved actress who has weathered the storm of ever-changing industries. Of course, Hollywood has had many faces across multiple decades, and having already succeeded as a prestige performer. In fact, her first Oscar nod came from 1993's What's Love Got to Do with It? But I say don't dismiss Carrie Condon's recent BAFTA victory as a fluke, because she could spoil Bassett's reign. What do you predict here?
I like Carrie. I think you're right about what everyone is thinking in terms of Angela Bassett. But I don't think you can ignore the fact that the Screen Actors Guild gave it to, and I predicted this months ago, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. As I said, this is going to have a little mini sweep, and I think she's Hollywood royalty. Her dad is Tony Curtis. Her mom is Janet Leigh. She's been making movies since, Halloween, and she's just beloved out there. She's a dame. She's married to some count or some... something, but she never wears that. She never goes around saying, please call me lady. It's just, she's charming. She's playing it right. And I think this is the year she takes home an Oscar. It's my most controversial call of the night, but I think it's going to happen.
True, because the Academy is probably longing to give this to her, like you said, to your point. But there's an itch in me about Angela Bassett right now, because she's got the entire world, watching if she takes this home. And listen, who deserves it more? They're both incredible actors, but on the political side, I do have to say, I hope Jamie Lee takes it, because I think it's time. It's due.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, we are out of time, my dear friend. Thank you so much for coming
on. Play me off, just like the Oscars. Don't you have some music you can just play me off?
We will add the music and play you off, for sure. You are amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Guys, that was our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. That was the amazing Bill McCuddy. So check him out at the Accutron Show if you go to accutronwatchcompany.com, or you could follow him on Twitter at Bill McCuddy and Instagram at McCuddyBill. It's kind of reverse on that one. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today in our Millennial Mom segment, brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring supermama, cardboard artist, and designer Sherri Madison. Sherri's been featured on HBO Max's Craftopia as a finalist in the world of wearable art. Now, she studied classical oil painting from age 10. She has a BA in fine art from Pepperdine University. She resides in Southern California with her husband and 3 children. Now, her son, Max Alexander, was born in 2016. He graduated from Little Dolphins by the Sea, which is an art-based preschool. He graduated in 2021. Now, during the time there, he was heavily influenced by the works of Vincent van Gogh, Frida Kahlo, and Alexander Calder. Encouraged, of course, by his mama, Max became a self-trained sewist and launched his Couture to the Max label in 2021 at the tender age of just 5 years old. And since then, Max has been creating commissioned works for a global clientele, including dresses for clients all the way from Paris, Brazil, Mexico, and Germany to Nevada, California, Florida, and New York. Max's couture has been featured on Good Morning America and the children's magazine A World of Our Own, as well as several international media publications. He has over 1.2 million followers. Today, his mom, Sherri, is here to chat wearable art, career, family, and little Max's latest plans. Welcome to the show, Supermom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Wow, what an incredible, talented family you all are. I must admit, I found you on Instagram when I came across a fascinating post of little Max sewing dresses and truly doing it like a pro. I mean, I was mesmerized. Let's chat about you first, and we'll circle back to Mr. Couture in a few. So I read that you grew up in a military family, moving every few years. There was always moving boxes around, and cut to the pandemic with a stay-at-home order and the Amazon effect and so much curbside waste piling up, you got inspired. You used your army brat skills to try to bring some awareness to the issue of recycling. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I've been a painter since I'm 10 years old. And then I had 3 kids and I sort of took a break on painting. And right when the pandemic started, I was like thinking I want to get back into it. And I figured like it'll come to me what I want to do next. And I opened the door one day and the Amazon guy was standing there and he had like, 15 boxes. And it literally hit me just like that. I don't know. I saw the boxes and I was like, that's my medium. I like ran up to my studio with the boxes. I just started making stuff. And I started posting on Instagram because, everyone was at home and I was like, maybe people like be interested in this and I can teach them how to do stuff at home with all these boxes. Cause I mean, people were getting a ton more than normal during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then it just slowly built from there. And then, Max, a few months after I started that, I was working on a cardboard dress. So I do sort of couture out of cardboard. And I had a mannequin and I was doing this cardboard piece, which is then when he told us, like, I'm a dressmaker.
I love this. Now, congrats on being featured on HBO Max's Craftopia as a finalist in exactly what you specialize in, the world of wearable art. How did Craftopia influence your next chapter?
Well, so it's interesting because my career is on a little bit of a pause right now with all that we're doing for Max. So I've sort of decided to spend the first half of this year concentrating on Max and getting his everything going for him. And the second half of the year, I'm going to get back into my career, which will include a show with the other 2 artists from HBO Craftopia. So I would say the biggest thing that came out of that show was meeting those other 2 artists who are both paper artists. They're amazing. And they've just been like pushing me for the last year to get this show going. So halfway through this year, I will switch over and hopefully we'll put that together.
Incredible. There are no coincidences, right? You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and this is proof. Now, let's chat Max. So by 4 years old, he's designing. In fact, his first designs prior to learning to sew were, I read, comprised of ribbons, plastic wraps, scraps of material fastened together with knots and tape. Now, when did you notice he was gifted and talented in this way?
People always ask that, and I didn't. I mean, he told us. We were sitting at dinner, and he literally said, like, "I need a mannequin," and my husband, like, spit out his food. Like, "You need a what?" And, and he said, "I'm a dressmaker." Just like that. I mean, it was almost creepy, and we said, "You're a dressmaker? We've never seen you be interested in fashion or dresses," and he said, "That's because I don't have a mannequin. Like, get me a mannequin. I'm going to show you what I can do." And I was like,
What?
okay. So I had all this cardboard. So I made him a cardboard mannequin. And he obviously couldn't sew. He was 4 years old. And he just went in my studio and grabbed like ribbons and plastic. And he started like, I remember he put like a waistband around the mannequin and he just started tying ribbons all the way around it. And here comes this skirt out of nowhere. And I kind of was like, what's happening? I was in my studio working and I'm like kind of watching him like, what's happening over there? And then he puts this top and then he makes a collar. And I like ran and got my husband and like I get chills telling the story because it was really, I mean, almost creepy. Like, where did this
I
come
mean, he must have been a dressmaker in a past life
People
or a
see that all the
designer.
time, but look, I don't read Vogue, I'm not fashionable, I don't have like, we didn't watch runway shows, but his grandparents were in the fashion industry, which but he didn't know that, you know?
Right. Well, this is so interesting. Now, what's it like for your other children? I mean, are they artistic like that? And more importantly, with such a huge presence in the household, does Max take away from the rest of the kids?
Yeah, no, they're all growing up with an artist mom in a studio, so they all have access, same access, and they all like to draw and paint. And I would say they are all artistic. My daughter's into music more than anything. She's always liked to sing, and she plays guitar and electric guitar. And my little one is sort of he says he wants to follow in Max's footsteps. He begs to sew with him. He wants to help him. He doesn't quite have the fine motor skills that Max has or had, so we're kind of easing into letting him do that. And it's hard to tell whether he wants to do it because his big brother does it or if he doesn't have quite that burning passion that Max has, where, you know, Max will cry at night if I make him stop sewing. Like Dorian doesn't quite have that, but he is interested in it. So we'll see. I'm not really sure yet. He's still pretty little.
It's quite fascinating. Now, after learning to sew at basically age 5, his work quickly progressed into what we would call a more refined style. Now,
Yeah.
his first collection was completed, to my understanding, in the summer of 2021 and culminated with really an overwhelming success of his first runway show in Bel Air, California. Now, what does his line consist of today at 7 years old? I'm curious to know. My next question is, who does Max design for? I mean, where are his designs sold? And what is the price point? I give you a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that's a lot. So he does custom commissions. He started doing them as soon as I put on Instagram. People started asking for them. So during the school year, because he's in first grade now, he can't make nearly as much as he does during the summer. So he has a list of commissions that, you know, some are celebrities, some are normal, very normal people, models, musicians. He will never be able to fulfill this list. It's hundreds and hundreds of people. But,
Wow.
and he doesn't know that. We don't put any pressure on him. He has no idea that that list is that long. So when he makes something, I sort of go to the list and look and see, okay, this woman wanted a blue dress. And I email the 14 people that wanted a blue dress. And the first person to pay $1,400 is what he charges now a dress gets the dress.
Wow.
So it's
Wow, this kid is hustling. Like, this is real stuff. Like,
bananas. Yeah, and it's really that price point is solely based on demand and the fact that he's just turned 7 and he can only make so many dresses or jackets or whatever.
wow. Now, it's crazy to me that this all was n- it came out of nowhere and he has a career now, a full-fledged
Mhm.
career. What does Max's schedule look like? And would you say this is his lifelong calling?
I don't know. People ask all the time. I mean, he's certainly passionate about it. And every day for the last 2.5 years, we've said, well, maybe tomorrow he'll be a chef. He's a kid. We'll support whatever he wants to do. You know, he's excited about this now. And he still likes to cook. He's always liked to cook. It hasn't waned. Like, I don't know what to say. I feel like he might be a fashion designer. Yeah.
I
Um,
think so, without a doubt.
you know, we'll see. I mean, he's still
Is he
so he
homeschooled?
goes to school from 8 a.m. to answer your question till 4:30 p.m. So it's a long day. He sews. He's in his studio every night, even if it's just ironing for 15 minutes. He's braiding. He's organizing. It's not always sewing. He plays. He's a little kid. So sometimes, like this morning, he came up and he pinned a collar on a dress he's making for this little girl. And then he said, Mommy, can you sew it? I'm going to school. Like, so I certainly help a lot. Like, this is my full-time job right now.
This is an interesting perspective into your world, because his whole world, he's a boy, is driven by fashion and fabric and sewing. And when you watch him sew, Sherri, I'm like, his little fingers, oh my God, he's making a twist, he's
You know
making a
what?
turn.
Like, knock on wood, he has
Knock,
never
I know.
hurt himself. But I will tell you that one of the reasons when he said, please teach me how to sew, when he was 4, like I was 7 or 8 when I learned, I thought there's no way, you're so little. He kept begging and begging, but Max has always had like oddly amazing fine motor and gross motor skills. Like he's super athletic. He could shoot a ball in a hoop when he was 2.5. Like it's really weird. So when I showed him very slowly and like sat him in my lap and let him like learn little by little, but he's never hurt himself.
Wow. Well, it starts with you because you're keeping a tight watch on that
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Now, the aesthetic of the couture to the Max brand obviously has changed since its inception when he was
Yeah.
5. He's now 7, but
Mhm.
obviously, you keep it remaining youthful and trend setting. I know that you highlight the female form. In addition to dresses, now this line includes couture scarves and blankets, kimonos, and jackets. Is this inspired and driven by you or him or a combo?
No, I don't have any creative control in this entire situation. Nothing.
Wow.
He sort of goes between 2 different things. He has been doing jackets, although this last jacket he did was for Sharon Stone. It was like the craziest fur. It was so hard to sew. So I
Wait, he did a jacket for Sharon Stone? Oh
he
my god.
commissioned a piece. Yeah, but the fur was like, I'm telling you, if you're a sewist, like it's the hardest material to work with. And he sewed in a satin lining. It's like ridiculous. So I think he's going to take a break on the jackets because this is the first time I've ever seen him frustrated. And I mean, he was fine. He's like a very chill kid, but I'm curious to see now if he does another jacket. Or if
I
that's it.
and you're saying this, like, so nonchalant. He commissioned a coat for Sharon Stone. I'm like, "Okay, listen, he's definitely on the road to greatness. He's already amazing and incredible, but it does all begin with you." So, I can't e this was such a fun interview. I'm out of time, but thank you so much for coming on, and the next time, I'd love to interview Max when he's a little bit older and his schedule is not as hectic, but you are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Wow, what an inspiring interview. That was the amazing super mama, momager, cardboard artist, and designer, Sherri Madison in our Millennial Mom segment, brought to you by OGPay.com. Do check out Sherri Madison directly on her website at sherrimadison.com. And you must check out the little guy, Max Alexander, directly on his website at couturetothemax.com, or you could head to the gram at Couture to the Max. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on FinTech TV. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could go to 710WR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're on YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV streaming platform. That's free programming for you. You could head to mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks, of course, to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.